Hello everyone, today something a bit different. We're going to be rebuilding a carburettor on the Micra. Got a load of gaskets and all sorts of little bits and pieces in there. Good, see those, focus, there we go. So I've got a rebuild kit for the carburettor on the Micra because I've got some issues when it's warm, idling, and just a couple of things that aren't quite 100%. The car had been stood a long time before I got it, so I'm going to go outside, get the carburettor off, get it on the bench, strip it down, give it a good clean, put it back together and hope it's better. I've never taken a carb off one of these before, so we're kind of learning together, working it out as we go along. Work out where all the connectors are that I've got to undo. There's one. Hoses that need to be disconnected, wires to undo, there's all sorts. Should be pretty straightforward though, really. That's an awkward screw to get to, isn't it? This spanner for the throttle cable, that's unplugged. How's it bolted onto the manifold, is it? Screwed from underneath by the look of it. Single fuel line, that's loose, that's always good. That's the throttle cable off. Fuel line. I think I might need to plug that up, or is it draining back? I'm not sure. I'm going to go and find my quarter drive. From what I can feel down here, there's 4 bolts. So I've got my quarter drive with a 10mm on. It's a very small, I think it's a Hitachi carb, it said in the instructions, in the diagram, but it's a very small 2-barrel carburettor. What's that line there? That needs to come undone, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. That's on the manifold. That's all right. Yeah, certainly interested. Never taken one of these off or stripped it down before. Like I say, I've got, when the engine's stone cold, it on choke. It's an automatic choke, but when it's on choke, it runs great. It runs really nicely. But say runs nicely, it idles really nicely, but then driving it starts to cough and splutter a bit. Once it starts to warm up, it stops idling nicely, but so it won't idle. I'll have to keep my foot on the accelerator to make it idle, but it'll go through the rev range nicely. A little bit down on power maybe, but it's an old slow car, isn't it? But then, once it's fully warmed up, it's hit and miss whether it's going to idle nicely, but it runs really well. So I'm just going to give what I can a clean and inspect, see what's bunged up, see what's not, and hopefully we can make it a bit better, because the car was stood for 10 years between 2011 till 2021, which is when the guy I bought it from got hold of it. It had a fresh MOT on it, and he bought it from Manchester and drove it down to Birmingham where he lived, and then it was laid up again then. So that year, its last MOT in 2011, it had done 1,000 miles I think, between that and then the one it had in 21, and then the one in 21 to the one I've just had done, it was 140 or something. So it's not done a lot. I've put about 200 miles on it now since I've been running it. Might be just a bit stuck. Go and find something to persuade it a little. There we go. That's Mr. Carburettor off. So I've got the carb off the car now. Got the GoPro balanced precariously above the bench with the hope that that can capture a bit of something as well as the camera over here. So I've never dismantled one of these before, so we're kind of going to make it up as we go along to a certain extent. We've got a few tools out which I shall no doubt need a few more as we go along, but we'll see. I'm not trying to give you a tutorial on how to dismantle a carburettor, but I thought it might be interesting for you to watch along and see how this carburettor comes apart in case you're taking yours apart and can't remember how you put it together. Well, for a start, that screw's incredibly tight. I think I might need to do something with that. Petrol's going to come out of this sooner or later, isn't it? Yes. There we go. I'd like to go through this with you and tell you exactly what all of the parts are called, but to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure. And also, having this GoPro running is helpful for me, so I can see just how it went together. I think I might move the GoPro and stick it on the bench so it can have a nice close-up view of what I'm taking to pieces. I'm not interested in cleaning up the outside of this carb, just the bits where on the inside where the fuel goes, really. Externally it doesn't need to be clean as long as all the linkage is free and moves. So that cable clamp, it has one of the top part screws for the top part of the carburettor. Okay. What the rebuild kit did come with was an exploded diagram of the carb, which is pretty useful. I may need that at some point. I did a video a little while ago, I don't know if any of you watched it, but adjusting the automatic choke on this carburettor. Something interesting for some people maybe. Oh, that's quite squished, isn't it? Yeah, in my experience, I've not had a lot to do with the Micra for a long time, but back in the day they were certainly pretty robust, the carburettors on these things. You didn't really see problems with them. So I don't know, some people might see more problems than me as they've got older, but when I was playing around with old Micras, these were only 10-year-old cars or something like that. I'm just going to take a couple of pictures. Okay. It's always useful to take pictures. I'm not sure I'm actually going to dismantle that automatic choke. I wonder if I can leave that where it is. These little vacuum hoses look a bit crummy. They might be replaced at some point. So that's attached to the top part. So I might leave that for now on there and just undo this link. Seems like a sensible decision, I think. Good job this kit comes with new split pins, isn't it? Because these are pretty... Oh, that one's fell apart now, isn't it? Okay. I know there's a new piece for this rubber boot for this bit. Should have perhaps got a compressor fired up. Bit of air to blow things through. I've got some brake clean, but that's always quite useful. These screws aren't very tight. Thought these might have been tighter. Should probably have a look at replacing these little vac pipes. So it's the top half separated. It's all cork gaskets, the new gaskets aren't cork. I wonder if that'll make any difference. So this is filthy in here. This is where I've got to be really careful and remember how everything went. Let's put it back. There's a bit of dirt in the bottom of that float bowl. Certainly is not going to help matters at all. To be honest, it's not as dirty as I expected it to be in here. Which is kind of good, I guess. I'm going to have a look on that little piece of paper what that solenoid does. Interesting. This. Oopsie, dropping things. That solenoid thingy. And then the camera battery went flat and I rebuilt it. So there we go. So I'm just working out getting this last bit back on, and then I can go and fit it to the car. It has got dark since I took it off the car. GoPro's upset. So the base gasket, yes. It has got dark since I took it off the car. So once I finish reassembling, I'll go and take it out to the car and put it back on, and perhaps take it for a test run after I've had my tea or something. Just got to clean this gasket face up. So next morning I've had to switch to my phone because cameras are flat and stuff. I know I can't find my windscreen now with my GoPro. So got a trip to do on a cold start this morning. Let's see how the auto choke works and how it drives. Before it would start fine, but running down the road it would be a little bit jittery. Right, so we're running at least. You have to excuse the noise of the fan. A bit wet in here, so the windscreen steams up when it's sat overnight. So far I don't know what you can hear because I've had to put the fan on, but feels great so far. Well, I've not driven very far. Now I've got a problem with the idle speed. Once it's warmed up, it just doesn't want to idle. Fine when it's on choke, but once the choke starts to come off, it doesn't want to idle. So I've gone to a K10 Facebook page for advice. A couple of people have suggested checking vacuum lines, which is a good shout. There are a few that are a bit old, so I'll probably get around to replacing those at some point. And also somebody suggested the fuel shut-off valve. I think it's like an anti-run-on valve. Somebody suggested dismantling that and taking the pin out that actuates it, because it can upset the idle circuit in the car. So I'm going to give that a try a bit later on. I've just got somewhere to go this morning, so I'm going to go get that done first. But I hope you can hear all of this. It's lost its hesitation while it's cold. But yeah, it runs brilliantly. No surging or hunting or anything. Feels like it's what it felt like before was it felt like it had lost its secondary, but that seems to be working just fine now. So fingers crossed. I can see that phone holder's a little bit wobbly, so I hope you can actually see and hear me properly. I'll go on the dual carriageway in just a minute. Can't see a thing behind me. The rear window's well steamed up. So it idles as it starts to warm up. It's still on choke, so it's idling fine at the minute. It's definitely got more going in than it had before I stripped the carburettor. Nice sunny Sunday morning. Here and joining the dual carriageway. See you in a bit. So let me turn that off. I've just got to where I'm going to my lockup.
and the idle's, it's idling but it's really high. So what I had to do was set the idle a little bit too high, because if I dropped it down to where it should be, it would slowly peter out and stop. So I need to take that valve apart and reset the idle, so that take that valve apart and then try and reduce the idle and hope it idles nice and steadily and doesn't cut out. So I'm going to do that, not immediately when I get home, because it's quite early on Sunday morning still, but I'll do that today and I'll show you how it goes. Been out and got some vacuum hose, so let's go back out to the car and fit some of this. So what I want to do is use some of this hose I bought to replace these little yellow joiners. I've got two different sizes, 5mm and 3.2mm, so I'm sure what size I would need. Maybe 5mm looks good, so I'll just cut a piece of that off.
dropped it, did it? So, I sprayed brake cleaner over the throttle spindle. The revs picked up, so I'm going to have a look, see if there's anything I can do there, any seals or whatever I can change I didn't use in the kit, perhaps. Like other parts in the carb, when I was taking it apart, there is evidence on this screw here that it has been undone before, which is not something I have done. I left that bit in. I was focusing on cleaning out the jets and air passages and fuel bits and pieces and whatnot. I've got to take this apart carefully and not lose any of the bits and pieces. So that's all for this one. So I got the after changing all the little rubber vacuum lines, I was still having the same problem. So started spraying some of this brake cleaner around the carburettor, and I sprayed it onto the spindle for the throttle, and the revs instantly picked up. So I tried again a couple more times. So it's indicating a leak around there. So I took the carb off again, stripped it down on the bench, and I found there's a little bit of play in that shaft. So I think the carburettor's worn, which is premature. But there's a lot of signs, I think I mentioned throughout the video, that this carburettor's been in bits before. This isn't its first time it's been taken apart. So I'm quite sure that somebody's been there before, maybe swapped it or done something with it. So I need to get on the lookout for another carb, because it doesn't look like there's any bronze bushes or anything in there that you can have replaced to reseal it. So there's nothing I'm going to do is going to stop that air getting in through the spindle there. So I need to find another carburettor. When I get one of those, I shall no doubt mention it in a video or do another video. But for now, that is it. Thanks for sticking around. It's been a bit of a long one, and we've not really achieved a great deal. Oh, we have. We've made it drive better. It drives better now when it's cold, and it starts perfectly. So that's good. Just doesn't idle very well when it's warm. So that's all. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.